Thank you.
So with the coil type arrangements, we have spiral, helical, and vertical tubes. Those things. Then regarding agitation, agitated vessel, we have seen different types, propellers, turbines. Okay, so many types. So how these dimensions affect the rate of heat transfer or estimation of heat transfer production? Because in our design method, the thing is that we have to calculate the film coefficient. Okay, in cell side and tube side, or in the case of agitated tanks, the tank side, vessel side, or jacket side. Okay, so as it involves so many dimensions like baffles, then your propeller dimensions, okay, then sub dimensions, the number of baffles or number of agitators, okay. So everything plays major role. So we had two different types of agitation system. One is proximity agitators, another one is non-proximity type agitators. Okay, so you name itself, you can say in one case it's very close to the wall, like anchor, okay, the gate type arrangements, those things. In another case, non-proximity means like simple turbine blades, those things. Okay, so this based on the dimensions, the heat transfer coefficient calculation is complicated because of this different components of agitation system. Okay, so we are introducing on geometric factor to account these things in equation as similar to Rittenz-Bolter or Sederite equation, that is Nusselt number is equal to is function of your Reynolds number, Prandtl number, viscosity correction factor. In addition to that, we have one more factor called geometric factors. Okay, so all these things, once we calculated all these things, then you can proceed as like general methods by calculating the overall heat transfer coefficient. You know the overall heat transfer coefficient, you can find out the efficiency. Okay, so by epsilon NTU methods. Okay, NTU, then efficiency you can calculate. From the efficiency you can calculate the outlet temperature. Okay, so that is the desired one. Then you can compare the calculated desired temperature with the actual one. Like that you can proceed. Okay, that's the simple design method in agitated tanks. Okay, so today I am going to discuss about the design of silent heat exchangers. Okay, so this is another version of double pipe heat exchanger. Okay, modified version of double pipe heat exchanger. When we discuss about the classification of heat exchangers, I told that the advanced version of double pipe heat exchanger is silent heat exchanger. If you have only one tube in a shell, it's called a double pipe heat exchanger. If you have more number of tubes, then it's called silent heat exchangers. Okay, so that's the only difference. But the selection of heat exchanger plays here major role based on different factors. Okay, so for larger duty, large flow rate, you have to go for cylinder heat exchange. In process industries, if you say heat exchanger, means most of the times it refers cylinder heat exchangers. Okay, because it has many advantages. Okay, let's have the slide so that. Are you getting my slides?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so cylinder heat exchangers normally expressed as S and T heat exchanger. Heat exchangers normally represented by HX. Okay, so it has many advantages. Most of them are well known, okay, because more than in process industries, it occupies more than 60%. Okay, because of its simplicity, and it is very reliable, robust in nature. Okay, that's the thing. Even though it is very non-compact when compared to plate heat exchanges or other compact type heat exchanges. Okay, most of the times people will prefer these things for a continuous operation, and also the large heat duty or larger mass flow rates. Okay. So the applications are very wide, these things. So these heat exchanges, cylinder heat exchanges, normally called based on its function, like reboilers, you can say, or condensers, or preheaters. Okay. Automobile industries also you can have a bigger one. Sorry. Then economizer. In power plant industry, you have condenser, economizer, okay, boilers, okay, preheater. So even petroleum industry, food process industry, then nuclear industries. Okay, so wherever you go, you can find out the application of this cellular heat exchanges. Okay, so many of the industries it is being used. So the market share, it's a very big business, a $1 billion business. Okay, as it occupies more than 70% of the 60 to 70% of the process plants. Okay. And it's the applicability of these exchanges, you can see based on the pressure. Normally it can be used the pressure greater than 30 bar, and temperatures you can use it more than 260 degrees centigrade. Okay, so that's the another advantage of this cylinder heat exchanger, very versatile one. Okay, and also if you see the design methodology, you have many of reliable design methods like turn method, so many things. Even you have so much of softwares for cylinder heat exchanger designs. Okay, we will see later. Okay, so what are they? And also well established design method like codes and standards. Codes and standards means normally it will say about design, fabrication, material testing, inspection, operation and maintenance. So these codes and standards will define all these things: design of equipment, how to fabricate this equipment. So what are the materials that can be used and how this material can be tested. Okay, that also will be explained by these codes and standards. Then how to inspect joint, how to inspect the joints for leakage purpose, or how to inspect the metal surface or thickness of metal, whether it has any cavities or those things, using non-destructive techniques. Okay, because if the material is not uniform, then it leads to so many problems. As I said last class, a vessel has different components, correct? Head, body, then or you can say cell and closures. Okay. So as the stress distribution inside the vessel is highly non-linear and non-uniform, such cases the thickness of the wall, the material of construction, and the joint efficiency factor, diameter of the vessel, pressure inside the vessel plays a major role in mechanical design. Okay, so we should have a proper inspection method. Okay, then we should the codes and standards will provide the detail on how to operate a particular equipment. Okay, so or you can say SOP, statement of procedure, those things. Okay, when you have to how to start equipment, how to shut down the equipment. Okay, a pump, compressor, whatever may be a vessel. Okay, valve, those things. Everything will be explained in these codes and standards. So for a heat exchange, then maintenance also, how to maintain this. So these are all major things: design, fabrication, then material selection and testing, inspection of your equipment, operation of your equipment, and maintenance. These are all major things explained in codes and standards. Okay. So in cylinder heat exchanger, we have so many codes and standards. The very established things are ASME, American Society of Mechanical Engineers, Section 8, Division 1. Okay, that is one standard that is used to design heat exchangers, cylinder heat exchangers. Then British standard 5500. Normally it is a BS 3274161969. That is year. Okay, so this is year. Here, okay. This is the code mainly used for the heat exchangers. So this ASME section 8 division 1 clearly discuss about heat exchanger design, those things, these things. Okay. Then another one is API, American Petroleum Institute 660, which discuss about codes and standards of heat exchanger. So many things. Other one is this is HEIPPS, Heat Exchange Institute Standards for Power Plant Heat Exchangers. Okay, HEIPPS. Okay, it's called Heat Exchange Institute for Power Plant Heat Exchangers. Okay, standards. This is HEIPPS. Then TEMA, this is the well-known one used in exchanges, heat exchanger design, Tubular Exchanger Manufacturers Association. So this association will have many members who are all doing this business, around 22. Okay, 22 companies registered here. So they regularly will meet and they will discuss and update their codes and standards. Okay, this is Tubular Exchanger Manufacturers Association. India for the equivalent one for TEMA is Indian Standard 4503, that is used for cylinder heat exchanger. Okay. Then based on these codes and standards, many softwares are available to design a thermal design, mechanical design. Okay, and combination of these two. Okay, and to draw the tube sheet layout diagram, we have many softwares like HTRI, Heat Transfer Research Institute. Okay. Then heat transfer and fluid flow services. Okay, then another company name called Bijack. Okay, then HEI is Heat Exchanger Institute. Okay, so we have many reliable softwares, popular softwares to explain or to do the design of heat exchangers. Okay, so this is the country name where the softwares are developed. Okay. So this is about codes and standards. Okay, so codes and standards will give the idea about the design, fabrication, material testing. Design means it will say what are the design methods, Kern method. Okay, then say or Bell Delaware method. So this Delaware University of Delaware contributes a lot in the design of cylinder heat exchangers. Okay, contributed more even for especially for cell side estimation of heat transfer coefficient and pressure drop. We have one method called Bell Delaware method, which is very accurate when compared to Kern method. Kern method is a crude method, especially for cell side estimation. But there can be those demerits of this Kern method is being removed, is eliminated or overcome in this Bell Delaware method. That's the idea. Okay. So even the idea of this TEMA is that because why it's a tubular exchanger manufacturer association, no? So even if you purchase one particular equipment from one supplier, whenever you have a problem in particular exchanger, so it's not necessary that you have to depend on the particular exchanger to replace the component. So you can purchase from the market because otherwise you have to shut down the plant, you have to wait the material to arrive, then you have to carry out the maintenance work, then you have to start up. So this timing can be reduced because these problems is minimized because of these codes and standards. Okay. So if a particular component is available in the market, or if one particular tube dimension, one particular tube you want to change, okay, you can just like that remove and buy purchase from the market, and you can replace it and you can start your work. It's not necessary that you have to depend on the manufacturer to supply the particular component. That's the idea. Because you see the complexity of cylinder heat exchanger when compared to double heat exchanger, it has more mechanical components. Okay, so if you see double pipe heat exchanger, you have one inner cell, one outer cell, inner pipe, outer pipe. Then if you have a very lengthy one, you can to avoid that, you can provide hairpins, return heads, or you can say return heads for cell side, or return bends for tube side. So many things. These are all main components. But if you go for selectivity exchanges, so it has many components. Okay, so we'll discuss in later things. Okay, so these components, as it has more number of components, it increase the complexity of selectivity exchanger design. Okay, but over the period, it was settled, and it has now very good design methods for selectivity exchange. Okay, that's the reason for it to have more market share when compared to other heat exchangers like compact heat exchangers. Okay, and also many of the compact heat exchangers are proprietary items. Okay, but selective heat exchanger is not like that. So, as per TEMA classification, generally the selective heat exchangers are classified in three different ways. One is called class B type. Normally, they are being used for not involving with severe duties, or you can say chemical process applications. You can go for this class B type of exchanges. Then class C is commercial and general process applications, very less important application like preheaters, okay, water heater, okay. Those things you can go for this class C type. Okay. Then another one is class R, you can say petroleum and related process applications, or you can say for severe duties we can go for this type of heat exchangers classified under the class R. Okay, these are all the classification as per TEMA classification. So BCR, BC is class B is not involving severe duties. Class C is normally for less important applications. Class R is petroleum and related process applications. Okay. So this is on classification. Next we will see how the heat exchanger is designated. Okay. So if you see the exchanger, this exchanger you can see this is a cell pot. Okay, this is U-tube heat exchanger. Okay, here you have U-tubes. Okay. So here you have a tube inlet, then you have a tube outlet. Okay, you have a self-lead inlet and self-lead outlet. Okay, so here you have brackets. Okay, so if you see this exchanger, here you have three different major parts required for heat exchangers, like front end head, then rear end head, another one is cell. Okay, so if you define like this is designation normally used to represent the heat exchangers in the process plant. So different nomenclatures are there. One is this three method. Another one is called five component method. You have five different things. One is front tube side closer. This is similar to your front end head type. Then Z, that is rear end head tube side closer, which is similar to the three component classification method. Okay. Then this S is represents the cell type. Okay, this BEM means it's similar to VSZ. Okay, so these are different B type front end closer, E type E type cells, then M type closer. We hear different classifications. Okay, we will see. This is because this will if you represent your heat exchanger by this notation, you can clearly understand what type of head it has, front end head it has, what type of rear end it has, what is the nature of a cell. Okay, those things are you can identify. As per this HEI PPS nomenclature, we have five components. In addition to these three components, another one is stationary tube seat arrangement, another rear tube seat arrangement. So they have included this tube sheet also in the definition of a heat exchanger or representation of heat exchangers. Okay, so we will see that this is U-type. Here you can see this is a closure, front end closure. This is a rear end closure like this. This is cell type. Okay, we will see. So as per TEMA heat exchanger, the layout we said no front end, then plus cell. Then another one is rear end, correct? So you have three components. So these three classifications, these three components we have classifications. One is front end stationary head types. If you see, this is called channel type and removable cover. This is a channel type. Okay, this is channel. Okay, here you have removable cover. So if you see this portion, okay, here you have dotted lines, which means that they have removable joints, which means you can use the flange section in the component that can be connected by suitable bolt and nut arrangements. Okay, so this can be easily removed. Okay, so the channel can be also removed from this because this is front end, no? So this here, this side you have cell, or you can say clearly you can define like this. So this is one front end, this is your cell, this is your rear end. So here you have different type of arrangements. So this is your channel, this is your head. So again, this channel and head also can be connected like this. It may be removable, or sometimes it is integral part. So this is the flange which has to be connected with your cell side. So here you may have a tube sheet also. Okay, we will see the components later. Okay, so after this you have the cell. Okay, so this is integral cover, that is different from type A. This bonnet arrangement you have, and integral cover that is integrated with the cell. Another type is C type. So here channel integral with tube sheet and removable cover. This is the channel portion. Okay, here you can see this is welded with this tube sheet arrangement. So welding means it is integral part. Okay, so it has permanent joint with the tube sheet. So channel is integral part of your tube sheet. Okay, so now you cannot remove this channel alone, because this channel is welded with your tube sheet. So the tube sheet is connected with your cell. So if you want to remove, you have to remove with tube sheet. Okay, so this is a removable cover. This is the removable cover. Okay, so here it mentioned removable tube bundle. It means that, so once you remove the channel cover, this cover, once you remove the channel cover, because it is a temporary joint. So this bolt, once you remove this bolted bolt and nuts, you can remove this. Then you can disintegrate the channel from the cell by removing these bolts and nuts. Then you can take the tube bundle out from the cell. That's why it means removable tube bundle only. Okay. Another type is N type. Here a channel integral with the tube sheet and removable color, similar to these things. But here you can see dotted lines, no? But here you cannot see that portion. Here it is connected with the cell also. So only this cover can be disintegrated with these things. Then you cannot remove or disconnect this channel from the cell, because this channel is welded with the tube sheet. Then welded sheet is this tube sheet is welded with your cell. Okay, again this is the modification. Okay, then last case, this is a special type of closer normally used for high pressure conditions, because if you see the thickness, this is bigger one. So this tube thickness is a bigger one when compared to this. Okay, so for special type of arrangements or closes, we will go for this type of front end closes. Okay, so now you understand the difference between these different type of front ends. One is channel and removable cover, both are removable. Another one is bonnet integral. Okay, this integral, this cover is integrated with your channel, that also removable one. Then third case, you have a channel integral with tube sheet. This channel is integrated with the tube sheet, and you have removable cover. Then fourth case, this channel integrated with the tube sheet. Okay, and tube sheet. The difference between this C and N is that in this case the channel, tube sheet, cell are integrated together. Okay, only the channel is the cover is removable one. Okay, so another case, last case is special type for high pressure vessels. Again, it's also similar to these type of things. Modification of this BCN, combination of this BCN. Okay, especially advanced version of N is used for D type. Okay, just by seeing the configuration, you can understand almost same. especially this thickness is very higher when compared to this thickness, because it's being used for high pressure conditions. Okay, so operating pressure is one of the factor deciding factor to calculate the thickness of the tube sheet. Okay, so another with respect to cell types, that is the major component of a cell and heat exchanger. Cell types, we have different types of cell passes. One is called E-type cell, E cell, which means this is the simplest one. Normally, most of the applications is being used. Okay, so which means that this is your shell part. So this part can be integrated with the front end cover. The rear end is connected with this rear end head. Okay, so the cell sheet fluid will come and it will flow. You will get the single pass flow. Okay, for general applications, non-severe applications. Okay, you can go for this type of arrangements. Okay, then another one is modification of this one pass cell is two pass cell. Okay, how we can get the two pass cell in exchanges? By providing this longitudinal baffle. If you provide the longitudinal baffle, okay, so this longitudinal baffle is connected with your tube sheet. You can take this is the tube sheet. Okay, so if this is your tube sheet, you have to attach your longitudinal baffle like this. So you can imagine this 3D. You can draw like this. So this is your tube sheet. Okay, that is also a circular plate. So here you have longitudinal baffle like this. So this is being connected by making groove over the tube sheet. So if you attach these longitudinal baffles to get two cell passes, in this case, okay, such a cases, what will happen? The thickness of the tube thickness will increase, because it has to withstand your number of tubes. We are making so many holes on tube sheets because it has to support the tubes, and the end of the tubes are connected in the tube sheets. Okay, and also it is exposed to both cell side fluid and tube side fluid, so you have to provide suitable corrosion elements. And if you make a groove over these to fix the longitudinal baffle to get two cell passes, because your cell side fluid comes here and it will go two passes. But in this case, if you provide a baffle in the end, front end at this point, what will happen? Your cell side fluid enters here and it will flow. Okay, then this another side you may have if it is one to exchanger, what happened? The cell side fluid goes like this. You have baffle in the end. It will go like this and it will come and it will come out like this. So your if you have E type of cell, BEM I said no, B type. Okay, this E is single pass. Okay, so here you may experience both co-current and counterflow things if you have one to exchanger. So one to exchanger means one cell pass and two tube passes. Okay, so tube side fluid will pass through the exchanger two times. That's why it's called two tube pass. One cell pass means this is the one cell pass. The cell side fluid will flow through the tubes only once. So it will come and it will flow and it will go out. Okay. So if you want to increase the effectiveness of the exchanger, okay, if it's performance of the exchanger, we can go for this type of baffle arrangement, longitudinal baffle arrangement, to increase the number of cell passes. This is the fluid will come and it will go and come. Okay, so here you can have front and rear end, so that the number of tube passes also you can fix. Okay, so another case is split flow arrangement. Normally, these G type of cells are preferred for very high flow rates. Okay, so if here the difference between F and G is here, all the fluids entering in the cell side will flow above the longitudinal baffle and below the baffle. But this is in this case split flow, the fluids are divided or bifurcated over this. So some fluids will go this side, some fluids will go this side. Okay, so in exchanger, if your tubes fluid will flow like this, part of the exchanger experience parallel flow, part of the exchanger will experience counter flow. So parallel part flow and parallel counter flow. But this is not the case here. So if you have two passes, what will happen? One side pure co-current, another side pure counter current. But this is not the case. In single exchanger, partially it is parallel flow, partially it's counter flow. So automatically it will. But the case is that here for the same pressure drop condition as experience from the experience of heat exchanger designs and operation of this heat exchanger called this E type and G type for same pressure drop conditions. Okay, split flow provide better performance than these E types. Okay, so another four type of cell types are split flow, double split flow. Okay, then divided flow, kettle type, and cross flow. Okay, so here in split flow, another one you have, that is a double split flow. So here you have only one. Here the cell side fluid is entering two times. So your mass flow rate is divided here m by 2. This is m by 2. So here you have the flow arrangements like this. Okay, so what happened? So here your cell side tube side fluid experience here co-current, here this here counter current, here co-current, again counter current, co-current, this type of flow arrangement. If it is two tube passes, then again you have provide a bonnet cover like this. Then the same thing is reversed in other side of the exchanger. Okay, again this is called double split flow. Normally this double split flow will be used for very high flow rates. Okay, another one is divided flow. So one of the classes we have discussed the difference between split flow and divided flow. So in split flow, the flow is divided inside the exchanger. Okay, flow is split inside the exchanger, but this case outside the exchanger the flow is divided. Okay, so instead of having one outlet nozzle, two outlet nozzle arrangements or provisions are given in divided flow arrangement. So this split flow, double split flow, or divided flow normally preferred for high flow rates and high heat duties. Okay, so another one is kettle type reboiler. So this normally this is being used at the bottom of the distillation column. Because of this configuration of this cell, it's called kettle type. It looks like a kettle, tea kettle. I think many of you may know. It's like this. Okay. So here you have baffle plates. So the liquid will come and the minimum amount of liquid can be retained here. Okay, this is your baffle. Okay. So once here you have a heater arrangement, or you may have YouTube arrangements, whatever may be. Okay. So the fluid will be heated up, then it will go up here. This is your flow in. Okay. So it's once it's filled up, then it is being heated. Then you have to provide suitable space between the cell and the liquid surface. Okay, for engagement of these vapors, which is moving away from the reboiler. So the design of kettle type reboiler we will discuss in detail in heat exchangers with phase change condition. Okay. So another one is cross flow arrangement. So here you will get a pure cross flow. So it's represented by. So these are all different type of cell types. E type, that is for one pass cell. Then F type, normally two pass cell with longitudinal backfill. Then G type is split flow, and H type for double split flow. J means it represents a divided flow. K is kettle type. X is cross flow. These are all different nomenclature is being used to represent the different types of cells. Then rear and head types. Here you have L, M, N. Normally these are all used for fixed tube seat heat exchangers. So your tube seat is fixed, which means they are attached with your cell. Okay. So the fixed tube seat means the tube seats are permanently attached with your cell. There will be no thermal expansion. Okay. So if the fluid, cell side fluid and tube side fluid should not be mixed means, then in such cases we will go for these type of arrangements. Okay. Sometimes if the cell side fluid and tube side fluid mixes, it may create some um, unwanted situations. Those can be avoided. So sometimes it may be hazardous, sometimes it may be explosive, sometimes the corrosiveness will increase. So different possibilities are there. So such cases will go for these tubes. So this L, M, N are similar to your A, B, C type. So, but it is being used in the rear end of the exchanger. So the configuration or the shape, then other things are almost same. A means L, B means M, C means N. So fixed tube sheet exchanger, okay, like a stationary head. M means fixed tube sheet like a V, stationary head. Okay, so this is important. This is stationary head. Okay, then fixed tube sheet like N stationary head. This is N type. A B not C. A B N type. I am extremely sorry. So L M, L is equivalent to A, M is equivalent to B, N is similar to your N, as like our front end head. Okay, the same thing. Everything is same. Okay. Apart from that, you have 5 more types. That is PST UW. Okay, PST UW. These exchanges normally used for full type exchanger, because these floating head exchanges, or you can say floating head exchange. Fixed tube sheet means the tubes are fixed with your tube sheet, welded with your tube sheet. Okay, you cannot remove the tube bundle, because this fixed tube sheet is attached with yourself. So for cleaning purpose, it's very difficult. You cannot remove the tube bundle. But other case, like these cases, you have floating heads. Floating heads means these heads can be removed. See, you can see this is floating head, outside packed floating head. So this represents they are all temporary joints. You can easily remove this and you can remove the tube bundle outside. That's why it's called floating heads. Okay. Then floating head with backing device. Here you have a supporting one, and also here you have two different type of tube sheets. Here you can see only one tube sheet. Okay, this tube sheet is connected with your shell part and also the cover part, floating heads. So once it is being removed, these two things, you can remove the tube bundle. So here also you have so many things. So these floating heads normally used for bigger diameter. Okay, and whenever the maintenance is required periodically, such cases we can go for this type of floating head. So there another requirement for this floating head exchanger is that space. So if you want to remove the tube bundle, the space requirement is double the length of heat exchanger. That's the point. Okay, this is the floating head. Okay. Then pull through floating head. So this is another similar to this S type. Okay. So only thing is that here you have two tube sheets. Here you have only one tube sheet. So this you have two different closes here. You have two different closes. So this is normally this is for used very high heat duties. Then the thermal expansions can be easily accommodated in these type of exchanges. So if material expand with respect to temperature conditions, if the temperature of the cell side fluid is more, okay, then what happened? The material will expand. Okay, such a cases what will happen? You have to provide suitable arrangements to withstand this thermal expansion. That's why we are going for this floating head arrangements. Okay. Another one is U-tube. This is U-tube bundle, which can be fixed inside the cells. Here you can fix U-tube bundle. So here normally these type of arrangements can be used in a kettle type reboiler and also single passer. Here you have two different passes. So here again this portion plays major role. So because of bending, what will happen? The thickness of the wall will come down. Thinning is possible. Okay. So we have to account, and also the arrangement of tubes in U-tube is very complicated one. Here you can see in this diagram. So you can arrange the U-tubes like this. Sometimes here you see it would be like this. Then here you can see this is arranged like this horizontal. This is vertical position. So different configurations are arranged in a single heat exchangers. Okay. So another case will externally sealed. Okay, here you have internally sealed. Here you have externally sealed. Okay. So your nozzle will come outside the exchanger. Okay. So outside the exchanger, your cell side free nozzle, tube side free nozzle will come outside the exchanger. So normally this will be these things will be used for very special cases. Okay. So now you know three different types like front end stationary heads, rear end heads, and cell types. So this is can be expressed like BEM. So what is BEM? Bonnet type, which means bonnet integral cover. E is one single pass. Then M means again it's like B type, fixed tube seat, B stationary head, bonnet integral cover. Okay, that is BEM. Okay, so like this you can represent the heat exchangers, or you can say AES type. AES. So internal floating head heat exchanger with the backing string. AE is channel cover in one end. AES. S means it would be like this. So you have a backing string. So next class I can. So these type of exchanges clearly AES, BEM, then AEP. AEP. P means outside packed floating head. Outside packed floating head. Then CFU, that is another combination. C means channel integral with tube seat and removable cover. Then F means you have this longitudinal baffle inside the things. Then U means you have U-tube bundle. Bundle is U-tube arrangement. Okay. So like this. Then AKT is another form. AKT. A means channel with removable cover. K means kettle type reboiler. Then T means pull through floating head. Okay, pull through floating head. Then AJW. AJW means you have again you have a channel and removable cover. AJ means divided flow. Okay. Then here you have to provide a longitudinal baffle here. Okay. Then you have W means this type of arrangement like externally sealed text. So we have discussed three different things, that is BEM, that is very normal. Then you have AES, sealing strips, or you can say backing strings. Okay. Then AEP. AEP. P means you have outside packed floating head. Then AKT. Then you can say CFU. C type, U means U-tube. Then AJW. So these are all different things. So these are all general nomenclature to represent the type of exchanges. So by represent like this, you can identify what type of front end it has, what is the cell type, what is the rear end, those things. Okay. So part number, you have many components in the cell and heat exchangers. Okay. You have cell, then you need cell cover, then floating head cover, floating tube plate, clamp ring that's being used to connect the things. Okay. Then fixed tube seat, tube plate, or you can say then channel, whatever we discussed, front end or rear end, then channel cover, then nozzles, branch nozzles, thyroid and spacer. Okay, so we will see one by one. Okay, thyroids normally used to tie the baffles. Okay, spacers means normally used to maintain the space between the baffles. Then tube support plate. Okay, or you can say cross baffle. Baffle is being used for different purpose. One is to change the flow direction, another is to increase the turbulence. Sometimes it may be used to support the tubes. Okay, then impingement baffle. Impingement baffles normally being used at the inlet of the cell side fluid, because you have tube bundles, no? So you have tube bundles like this. This is your cell. Okay, so here what happened? This is your nozzle. So when cell seed fluid enters here, directly it will hit on the surface. So you have to provide the impingement baffle directly. So the direct impact of the cell seed fluid over the tubes is minimized by providing these type of baffle arrangements at the nozzle. Or you can provide different nozzle arrangements also. You can increase the diameter of the nozzle like this. Okay, that is another way. We will discuss detail. Okay, then longitudinal baffle, support bracket, then we have floating head support. Okay, the head has to have a proper support for this rear end. Okay, then wear plates, especially in kettle type reboilers. Okay, split ring, tubes, tube bundle. Okay, tube is another component. Tube bundle, pass partition plates. You can provide in the front end heads to increase the number of tube passes. You need pass partition plate. So if this is your cell, if you have to provide the pass partition plate. Different pass, no? 1, 2 pass, 4 pass, 6 pass, 8 pass. Okay, like that. Then floating head gland. Gland means to minimize the leakage. Okay, you have like it's a carbonaceous material, like you can say kairi in Tamil, so those things can be fixed in the space available. Okay, in the stuffing boxes. So you have to fill with this carbonaceous material in the space. They are called gland. So it's being used to avoid the leakages. Okay. Then floating head gland ring. To accommodate these glands, you need ring. Okay. Then vent connection. Okay. If your cell side is having heat exchanger with phase change. Okay. So a superheated vapor is converted into saturated vapor. Then it condensate to liquid, saturated liquid. Okay. So such cases, what will happen? You have to provide the vent. Now, if it has some non-condensable things, that can be removed. Otherwise, these non-condensables will reduce the presence of non-condensables, will decrease the heat transfer rate. It will provide more resistance to heat transfer. So often you have to remove these non-condensables using vent connection. Then drain connection to remove the condensate at the bottom of the cell. Okay. Then test connection. Then expansion bellows. So if the temperature difference is more in the exchanger, the expansion is possible. So you have to provide different type of expansions. Below type is a type of expansion that is being used. Another one is lifting ring. So whenever you want to go for a maintenance, you have to provide the lifting ring. So your lifting arrangements should have ring. So the hook is being inserted into this ring, and your heat exchanger is pulled out, or it can be lifted for different purpose, maintenance purpose. Okay. So this is components numbering for team as per TEMA heat exchanger. So 1 always indicates cell. Okay. 9 means wear, then saddle means support, expansion joint. So this numbering. So if you know the numbering, sorry, if you use software, you can if you have the numbers, you can easily identify the component. So you have around 38 components. Okay. So you have the number 38. Okay. The cell side you have these are all the cell side components. Cell cover, cell flange, stationary end and rear end, cell nozzle, cell cover, flange, expansion joint, saddle and wear. Here you can add this impingement plate also. In rear end heads you have stationary head channel, or it may be bonnet, it may be channel cover stationary hair nozzle, then pass partition plates. Similarly, miscellaneous components, vent, drain, instrument connection, lifting lug, then liquid level connection, those things. Okay. In tube bundle, components are tubes, stationary tube sheet, floating tube sheet, tie rods and spacers, baffles, impingement plate, and longitudinal baffle. These things will come in under tube bundle. Floating head assembly has floating head cover, floating head flange, floating head backing device. These are all the components in floating head assembly. Then P-type. P-type cell means you should have, P-type rear end means this is the P-type, correct? P-type means you should have these components. That is split ring type, split on back flange, floating head cover, floating tube sheet, packing box, packing gland, and packing. Okay. W type means we have packing box, packing, and latent. So these are all different components in cylinder bead exchanger. So next class we will continue the design of cylinder bead exchanger. Especially we will go with one by one components. We will start with cell, then we go to tubes, then tube sheets, baffles. Okay, like that we can go. Important components of cylinder bead exchangers we can discuss. Okay. So any doubts do you have? Hello, anybody is there?
Sir, yes, sir.
Yeah. Have any doubts?
Sir, I don't think they have any doubts, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so next class we continue the design of cells or different components of heat exchangers. Then we will do one complete design of heat exchangers. Okay. So with this I stop.